All right, man, it's Cool Water, the Digital Dope Man, back with another episode in the Barroom Chats podcast, where we talk about topics in the area of entertainment, politics, business, and culture. So tonight, I want to jump in right quick on a topic, man, I've been meaning to get to, and it has been interesting for me, and I hope I make it interesting for you as I discuss this topic. Now, lately, or let's just say a few weeks back, they ran the documentary, the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. The Last Dance showed the 1998 Chicago Bulls rise to the championship realm and how they ended up getting 6 NBA rings. Michael Jordan being revered as one of the greatest NBA players to ever play the game. Dissension in the Bulls organization with Jerry Krause, the owner, coaches, players, so on and so forth. You know, really good. So, as of lately, they've been throwing it on TV, and I've been able to catch a glimpse or two. They showed some yesterday. One of the episodes talked about Scottie Pippen and how Scottie wasn't really being paid what he should have been getting paid as the Bulls rose to higher heights and the value and the stock of that organization and the NBA became more valuable. Scottie Pippen, if you don't know, came out of the NAIA, if I'm not mistaken, is what the initials for that was. More like Division III basketball, college basketball, almost like junior college. And it may have been junior college, if I'm not mistaken. He became a dominant player off of a mishap because somebody either quit the team or didn't make the team and they had a scholarship open. But he was initially the water boy and asked could he try out and ended up trying out, and they saw some potential in him and they let him play. And then he became the star for Central Arkansas at that school. So he gets scouted out by Jerry Krause for the Bulls organization. By this time, the Bulls is kind of entrenched in American pop culture. Michael Jordan has become knowingly one of the best players in the league by this time. We're talking almost, probably 5 years in, 3 to 4 to 5 years in before they probably got Scottie Pippen. Pippen gets to the Bulls, and upon him getting there, you know, he has to learn to play with Michael Jordan and other members of the team and how to be a contributing factor. So, many people don't know sports contracts, and when you play sports, you're basically property of the organization. You're kind of like a work for hire. You're an employee, an independent contractor, and there are certain taxes and rules and regulations that go along with that. So, Scottie, as he began to learn the ropes, time went on. When he came into the league, they offered him, according to the documentary, a 10-year deal for $18 million. And Scottie, coming from humble beginnings, a child of, I think he might have been a child of 9 children, was in desperate need, like so many African American people who fall into some money. He needed to get money back home fast. His mother, who was really the only eligible member at the time, needed money to take care of his father, who had been struck by a tragedy through a stroke, and he was in the wheelchair. Then his brother got somehow another man, somebody fell on him and hit him, and I think they messed his spine up, so he was paralyzed for life. So Scottie, being young, not coming from well-to-do backgrounds, went for the for sure shot. Now, what I want to say, and I'm probably going to title this Scottie Pippen, The Last Dance and Plantation Pimping. That's what I'm probably going to title this as. Let's swing over to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan comes out of high school as a high school All-American. Gets recruited by North Carolina and becomes a premier freshman player by North Carolina, Dean Smith, and other coaches over there. So he's at a big time organization, and he's coming from a 2-parent home. So his mother and father is still instrumental in making some decisions about Michael's career as he begins to grow up and become a man. He has what Scottie didn't have, which is invisible capital. Scottie's parents weren't necessarily involved in Scottie's rise to fame. It's kind of like mine. I played basketball. My mother only came to like 2 games. My father, he wasn't around. He didn't come at all. Now, he was a track star, but he moved on and went to college, and, after I was born, and that was pretty much the end of it. I was seen from time to time, but he wasn't necessarily interested in my academic and athletic career. So I didn't have anybody. My uncles who played some type of sport, they was off and they was young and they was doing their thing. So I was left to my own to make decisions about my athletic career, and however it failed. But I didn't have 2 parents involved in my background, if you will. Let me see who this is.
That's why I'm rich. And our schools teach you to work for money.
So, I didn't have the instrumental background that I needed to have to be able to excel, and I was very good at basketball. Michael Jordan, as he began to go through his collegiate career, he began to really get a great education in the game of basketball, from the academic, from the athletic, and the financial side. See, so once he graduated North Carolina, he goes to the league, and then he comes in with, I think the league minimum that I heard he was getting was like $300,000 starting out. But he had developed such a dominance over time that he was paired with some of the best agents in the NBA. Scottie Pippen took the $18 million deal for 10 years because he was in need of stability. He was in need of the immediate gratification of knowing he had money to take care of his family members, and at the same time reassure himself that he was going to be okay. If something happened, he was still going to get paid. But he didn't have invisible capital. He didn't have the necessary counsel from the lower level collegiate college coaches, family members and friends, because they never had really been to that highest height like Michael Jordan had, and those collegiate coaches at North Carolina who was always in talks with people in the NBA, yada, yada, yada. So Scottie on the documentary was telling his backstory. Now, what really struck me was that the owner for the Bulls told Scottie that if it was him, he wouldn't sign a deal like that. 10 million, 18 million for 10 years. He wouldn't fool with that. Scottie didn't really listen to the hint. But the Bulls owner and Jerry krause basically was getting a steal by signing Scottie to that price. Now, the Bulls owner said that he wouldn't have signed that deal because the value of the NBA was going up and the Bulls stock was going up based on having the number one player in the league, Michael Jordan. Scottie didn't really know, being a young cat who didn't really understand finance, didn't understand stocks, didn't understand value appreciation of a company. He didn't know that. So they basically fucked him. And then when the price rose, Scottie wanted to get renegotiated, but by this time the owner and the front office, the general manager and the staff at the Chicago Bulls already have made their determination. They wasn't renegotiating. So when Scottie got hurt, he kind of boycotted, using that as a means to boycott that he wasn't getting paid. And as a result of that, he, felt betrayed. But really what was going on is he didn't understand the plantation pimping, the sharecropping model. See, he didn't understand that at the end of the day, they were getting as much out of him for as little amount of money as they can to satisfy their end result, which was to get an NBA championship and to continue to increase the value. So, like Jordan said, Jerry krause and the Bulls' owner, they were not going to renegotiate Scottie's contract. He wasn't a premier player out of college. Apparently, he did not have the best of agents. He got the crumbs off the table. So they pimped him. Plantation pimping. Sharecropping business model. Music industry, same thing. 360 deal. Somebody like 50 Cent was just wise enough to be able to flip it and take that that necessary business model and use it to his advantage to continue to make more and more money. But it wasn't designed for him to get $8 million and then him turn up to be worth $100 million. It wasn't designed like that. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't designed for him to go to the next level in finance. But he was wise enough and had the best counsel that he was able to flip the script. Scottie Pippen, because he didn't come from the best of backgrounds, two parents who could counsel him on finances because they was poor, great collegiate coaches, college staff, high school staff members. He got the worst deal in the league, which ended up being that 10-year deal for $18 million, which means he really wasn't getting no more than almost like $1.5 million a year, $1.7 million a year. And at the end of the day, it was resentful. He was resentful because he was not honored and respected because of the simple fact that he was Jordan's right-hand man, and Michael Jordan was the best player in the league. So the best player in the league got the second best player in the league. He should got nearly close to, if not the same amount of money as Jordan as time went on. If Jordan was getting $20 million a season, then Scottie Pippen should have probably been getting 8 to 12. You see what I'm saying? And as a result, he wasn't. So as a result, he was upset. He was pissed off. And the Plantation Pimping still seems to overrun the NBA. Because the NBA, along with the music industry, along with the entertainment industry, that's ran by the Jews. So the Jew boys wasn't finna pay him. They wasn't finna pay him like that. They was like, shit, you took what I gave you. I ain't trying to hear that. You know what I'm saying? If you would have came to the table and asked me for more, I would have gave you more. But I'm always looking for the cheapest way out. So they played him and got the cheapest way out. But he didn't have a good agent either. You know, and I don't know if he counseled Jordan or counseled Phil Jackson or any of these other coaches to really understand what was needed to be done so he could get the most out of it. Scottie Pippen got played, and to this day, he's still not worth what he should be worth. If Michael Jordan is worth on the NBA side, $300 million, Scottie should have been worth $100 million. On the NBA side, Jordan got shoes and other licensing deals, which puts him in the billionaire club. But from the standpoint of the NBA, Jordan worth about 400 million. You see what I'm saying? And Scottie should have been $150 million dude. Now his net worth may have appreciated over time, but during the 90s, going into the early 2000s, when they were all at the point of retirement and the team breaking up, he should have been right up there with Jordan, close to that $100 million mark. But the Plantation Pimping still overrode and overrides the ability to win when you got these type of individuals doing the contracts. They wasn't going to give Scottie what he deserved because they were trying to get him for cheap. They got him for cheap. And it was a point in time when they thought about trading. So there wasn't no loyalty there because they didn't feel like, they could feel like they could get another two-man to play with Jordan if need be. You see what I'm saying? But when you study the history and you study the slavery and you study sharecropping, the sharecropping, the farmers after slavery still was on the slave owners' land, but they were supposed to be getting a percentage of the crop that they tilled and grew for their year. But at the end of the year, somehow or another, they always ended up in debt. Somehow or another, there was no money to pay them for their labor. Or what they would do would one of the slave owners would do, he would take a big old bag of pennies, put them on the table, and then he would take maybe, let's just say, 2 coins. Might have been 2 quarters at that time, and them quarters might have been equivalent of hundreds of dollars. And because most slaves couldn't read and write, he'd say, okay, which one do you want? Which one is the best money for you? Well, if you see 100 pennies on the table versus 2 coins, you're going to naturally take what you think is the most money. But in the end, the value is really with the 2 coins. So this is the type of game that was being played. This is the type of game that's been played in the NBA with some of these dudes getting these messed up contracts in the music business, with some of these folks getting these sharecropping contracts, you know what I'm saying? And it leads to these guys ending up broke and devastated because they got pimped, because they didn't get the knowledge, they didn't have the right education behind them to be able to do what was necessary to transcend and transfer their talents into residual income for life. So The Last Dance, Scottie Pippen, and the Plantation Pimping was what I saw in that documentary, because all it showed me was that at the end of the day, they was willing to play a game that Scottie wasn't familiar with because he didn't understand how the game was played. He didn't understand what he needed to do to maximize on the opportunity because he went for the for sure money. See, his emotions got the best of him. He didn't think long term, take little up front, get long term later. He went for the big pot up front and got little in the end. And that's the same thing as giving you shiny pennies and 2 coins, but the coins are equivalent to thousands of dollars, but the pennies only average out to be hundreds of dollars. And Scottie got played like the plantation sharecropper on the plantation, because he didn't have invisible capital. He didn't have the family to consult. He didn't have great coaches to consult. He didn't have a superior NBA agent to consult who was telling him how he really should play the game. You know, from my point of view, that would have led him to being worth a lot more, and he would have got, in the end, as the team rose in value, more money. So that's my take on that, man. Cool Water Digital Dope, man. Check me out. The blog is Hip Hop Dead. Look for me at the home base site, thedigitaldopeman.com. Peace and stay blessed. Holla.